Ooh, welcome to the Ringer NFL show. I'm your host, Sheil Kapadia. Today we are talking Week 18 winners and losers. The regular season is over. The Panthers are in. The Steelers are in. The Bucs are out. The Ravens are out after a wild Sunday night game. The playoff seeding is all complete. The schedule is in for the wild card round. So where do things stand? Who are the winners and losers from the last week of the regular season? That's what we're going to talk about with my friend Billy Gil from The Ringer. Let's take a break. We'll come back with Billy. The Ringer NFL show is presented by FanDuel. FanDuel's got it all. Same game parlays, quick bets for jumping in live and your way so you can build the bet that fits your play. Plus, don't miss out on the NFL playoffs all month long. Download the FanDuel app or head to FanDuel.com/RingerNFL to get started. 21 plus and present in select states, or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. All right, we are back here on the Ringer NFL show with Billy Gil, handing out some winners and losers. Billy, we got to start with the game we just watched, and I'm going to give the winner to the Mike Tomlin voodoo is very much alive. The fourth quarter of that game, the way it ended, the Steelers winning 26-24 on a Tyler Loop, got his name right, 44-yard missed field goal. This comes after a crazy Lamar Jackson interception that TJ Watt intercepted. This comes after Aaron Rodgers turning into like MVP Aaron Rodgers, just going up and down the field. Tomlin still got it. He's smiling on the sideline. They're going to the playoffs. I should have never doubted him. It's an annual tradition that I doubt him, and then he's always here at the end.
I don't know how they do it. I don't know how Tomlin does it. We were headed into this. They were saying before the game, which we've been talking about for a couple weeks now, what's going to happen with these coaches, who's going to be there, who's not. They were talking about it on the broadcast today before the game. And now there's going to be that conversation to be had, definitely with the Ravens. You would assume that the Steelers, I guess Tomlin has 1 year left. They're going to talk to Tomlin, see what he wants to do. But for now, they're in the playoffs and they got the prize. They get to host the Texans, who have won 9 straight games next week on Monday Night Football. So they're in. I don't know how long they're going to last, but the Steelers are in.
But now DK Metcalf gets to come back. At least they have a wide receiver that can throw the football too. I mean, Rodgers has looked pretty good the last month or so here. He had the bad games when he didn't have DK Metcalf in there. Last week was obviously ugly, and then this game started ugly. But man, their last 5 drives, they scored 3 touchdowns and a field goal. That's embarrassing if you're the Ravens defense, to give up 3 touchdowns and a field goal. And I can't decide if this is a win for team content or a loss for team content, Billy, because I didn't know whether to name them a winner or a loser. So stay with me here. You decide. So it could be a loss for team content because I feel like there are people who every time the Ravens lose, Lamar Jackson doesn't have it, can't do it in a big game. You can't really do that here because he made the big throw on the 4th and 7 to Isaiah Likely. They scored 2 touchdowns on the drives before that. So you can't just do Lamar Jackson. But then it's also a win for team content because of what you were just saying. We got a whole offseason, or at least a few weeks, months here of what are the Ravens going to do with John Harbaugh? And if they move on, where's he going to coach? Or is this weirdness around Lamar Jackson? Is there anything to it? Is there nothing to it? Is he definitely going to be on the Ravens next year? So I can't decide. Is this a win for team content or a loss for team content the way the Ravens lost this game?
I think it's a win for team content because you do have all of that mystery, all of that. Oh, finally, we're now headed into yet another season where, it looks like he can't do it. We also now in the AFC have a situation where we don't have Lamar Jackson in the playoffs. We don't have Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. We don't have Joe Burrow in the playoffs. This seems to be a path for Josh Allen, but Josh Allen is entering the playoffs with what some are considering his worst Bills team that he's had in a long time. They're playing the Jaguars next week. The Jaguars are looking pretty good. They're hosting them. I don't know if you saw Trevor Lawrence was gifted grills after the game today by his team, which...
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, you got to go find the clip of him kind of celebrating in the locker room with grills. I'm glad that the game ended up being the way that it happened, where it ended up being somewhat of a shootout in the fourth quarter, because headed into the fourth quarter, the story of the game, Sheil, maybe you enjoy this and you would want to talk about this, was the new spin that the Steelers had on the brotherly shove today, where you had literal brothers pushing each other.
Yeah.
And the Haywards were just, the older one was pushing the younger one. And it was like, wow, this is revolutionary. It's like, no, the Eagles have been doing this for a long time, except these are just actual brothers pushing each other. And that seemed like it was going to be the big story of the day. And I was like, this is boring. This is not how we should have the regular season end. And then we had a great fourth quarter.
That has to be weird, right? I mean, have you worked with your siblings? Like, I've never worked with my siblings, but to work with two brothers working together at this age when, Cam Hayward is near the end of his career in his late 30s. And it's like, this is their big thing. We're pushing each other to score. Yeah. That has to be a little weird, right?
So I worked with my sister, but in our teenage years at a summer camp. And I don't think we were ever in the same group. So it was fine. Luckily for her, honestly, because she'd have to put up with me and I wouldn't wish that on anyone. So sorry, Sheil, you have to do this now. But yeah, the thing about it, right, is I don't see how this can be viewed as anything but a gimmick, right? Because you have the two brothers on the same team, which that's fine. That's not that uncommon in sports. Look, Giannis has his brother on every team that he goes to. This is just a thing that happens sometimes. You get the brothers. The Gronkowskis had siblings on the Patriots at the same time. So it's not uncommon to have siblings on the team. But Conor Hayward, who's a tight end, who's 26, who is not known, it definitely is not the most known Hayward on the team, right? Him getting the ball as a tight end and being the one that's rushing the ball on this play is weird. But any other person, literally any other person on this team could be the one pushing him. But for his brother, who doesn't even play offense, to come in and push him, you can't tell me that this is anything but a gimmick just to have this story this week for whatever reason. And now next week, Monday Night Football playoff game, it's going to be a talking point. At some point, it's going to be mentioned. At some point, they're going to do it.
Cam Hayward is 36. Is there any other walk of life where a 36-year-old shoves his brother 10 years younger as they work together? And it's like, if he shoves him correctly, everybody's celebrating and they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars. This has to be a one-of-one thing. I mean, I can't imagine anything else.
In most workplaces, if you have someone who's 10 years older than someone else, shove them, their sibling, whatever, it's like a massive HR issue and you're not endorsing it whatsoever. Typically, if the younger person was shoving the older person, it'd be a real problem, right?
Oh, yeah.
The older one that's 10 years older shoving the younger one, not as bad, but again, in any other workplace, probably an HR issue. But for whatever reason, that was going to be the storyline of the game until we got the fourth quarter. We got the missed kicks. We got the bomb touchdowns. Oh, what a game. I'm glad this is how the season ended.
Yeah, it was a great game to end the season. Tirico was on fire. I'm so glad you brought up the last call because that was hilarious. He's like, they scoured the country. They talked to every kicking prospect in the country and said, this guy's built for these moments. The kick is up. No, I was like, oh my God. Oh no. Tirico was on fire in the fourth quarter. I loved it. All right, great game. Steelers, like you said, host the Texans. The Steelers get a home playoff game next week. That'll be the Monday nighter. Steelers host the Texans and the Ravens. Man, the Ravens are going to be in the headlines all off season. This isn't the last we've talked about the Ravens. We got to find out what happens there. All right, next winner here, Billy. Got to be the Carolina Panthers. I mean, just the most NFC Southiest of NFC South outcomes. Hilarious outcome. They lose to the Bucs on Saturday. Horribly officiated game, by the way. I usually don't complain about the officiating. I thought that was egregious. Every call went against them. But you know what? Then they get to go home, sit on their recliners, maybe have a cold one, have some nice snacks, and they get to watch the Atlanta Falcons beat the New Orleans Saints Sunday, creating a three-way tie, which means the Panthers go to the playoffs. They host the Los Angeles Rams. I mean, I read this, Billy, in the Athletic, that Dave Canales called owner David Tepper after the game. And you know what he said? This was a quote. Is this the owner of the NFC South champion Panthers? And for the first time, David Tepper got to say yes. How do you think the Panthers got to be a winner here, right?
I guess. I mean, technically, this is probably the loosest winner we could have, right? So they're the winners in that they win the NFC South, but they lost this week to the Buccaneers and then somehow ended up in a 3-way tie. And then they end up winning the division because of the tiebreakers. So they needed the Falcons to beat the Saints. You said, oh, wow, they had their game Saturday night. Then they get to go home and chill. And their reward is they get to watch the Saints versus the Falcons, which is not typically a reward, right? But that's what they needed to do to see. And I don't know if you saw this. Did you see poor Baker Mayfield? So Baker Mayfield wins on Saturday, and he's also going home because if the Saints win, he's in the playoffs. So he's there, and his wife is documenting the entire day. She's putting out videos of him and photos of him. And Baker is struggling, and he's stressing these games just like any fan would be stressing these games because it's completely out of his control. It's not a normal situation when teams are playing and he's sitting at home watching because everybody typically plays on the same day of the week. But the Panthers win. I don't know if you saw this, Sheil. This is going around today. The Panthers, are you aware? The Panthers, in their 30-plus year history of existence, have never had back-to-back winning seasons.
No, I was not aware of that. Wow.
So they have like some seasons where they had like the 12-win season and the next season is an 8-8. So it's not a losing season, but it's not a winning season. So somehow in their 30 years, they've never had a winning season. Now, this season, they also haven't had a winning season because they're making the playoffs at 8-9, which we don't need to get into making the playoffs at 8-9. It's an absurdity, but it's the way that it works when you have these divisions and the division winner needs to get in. So we have them as a winner for winning the division, but they have to host the Rams. And I don't think that you can be a winner when you're hosting the Rams because the Rams, I guess we could say the Rams are the winner, right? If we're doing winners and losers, the Rams were losers in that they end up being the 6th seed, but they're the winner, or the 5 seed, but they're the winners in that they get to play the Panthers, who probably are not going to win that game next week, if we're going to be totally honest with you. And then they'll have an easier path in the playoffs. But the Rams were looking like heading out of week 15. They were looking like they could be the 1 seed. And then they lose against the Seahawks and they lose against the Falcons. And then they end up falling out. But they now have a very favorable first round matchup here, which I wouldn't say the Panthers won in any way getting the Rams.
Yeah, I think the Rams are a winner. I think if you're not going to get the 1 seed, if you're not going to play at home, especially, this is the best case scenario. Now, the Panthers did beat them. Panthers fans might be yelling, hey, you dummies. You don't remember that game? It was a classic. All right, Billy might not remember. I remember it.
A classic.
The Panthers beat the Rams earlier this season, so they can beat them. Yeah. Weird things happen, but the Rams are like 10.5-point favorites. Yes, the Rams are going to be heavily favored in that game. They should win that game. So I think if you're Stafford and McVay, you say, all right, we get over not getting the 1 seed, not winning the division, but now we get to go to Carolina. We win that game, and we have a nice little setup here. Now, I did want to ask you about this, though. You were mentioning Baker Mayfield's wife was like cataloging on social media him watching the game here. Now, you've been doing a lot of work, Billy. You're doing Ringer Tailgate, you're doing the Ringer NFL show. You're doing stuff behind the scenes. You took this new job. There may be a part of, your wife might be like, when is your football season over? Because I was thinking about this because I had the Bucs initially as losers. I thought, oh my gosh, that sucks. You had to watch that. And now you're out of the playoffs. And then I thought about it more. And I actually think the Bucs are winners. I don't think they'd ever admit it, but I think there's a sense of relief because you know what? When they stopped recording and they got over it, you know what they said? Hey, we can catch up on Pluribus now. Hey, the Pit's coming back next week. Hey, you want to go see Marty Supreme next weekend? We got nothing else to do. We got no game here. Hey, you want to watch some golf YouTube videos? Work on your... They could do anything they want now for the next 4 months. They were an 8-9 team. It's not like they were going to make the Super Bowl or anything. So I actually think the Bucs are also winners, Billy.
I mean, this is an argument that could be also made, if we're going to be totally honest, for the Kansas City Chiefs. Because the Kansas City Chiefs haven't had an offseason for like 6 years or something, right? So now the Chiefs, they'll reload, they'll be back. I mean, I can't imagine a world, and you correct me if I'm wrong, they're not going to get rid of Todd Bowles, right? Like the Bucs aren't going to replace Todd Bowles. I don't think so either. So, it ends up being a disappointing season. They lost like 6 of their 9 losses were 1-score games. I'm kind of with you because now, if you're Mrs. Mayfield, maybe you say, hey, Baker, you told me that everything we had to write down in pencil. We couldn't write anything in pen moving forward for at least, because you know how these quarterbacks are. They all think they're going to win the Super Bowl, even though everyone knows they're not, right? So Mrs. Mayfield was probably like, the next 5 weeks, let's be real. 5 weeks from now, I'm not going to need plans. We're not making the Super Bowl. Baker, I can't tell Baker that. He's gonna be frustrated if I tell him you're not going to make the Super Bowl. But Mrs. Mayfield knew Baker wasn't going to make the Super Bowl, right? So everything was kind of written in pencil. Now we can whip out the pen. Now we start writing, you know what? Let's go on a yacht in, the Maldives or whatever. Let's go to Australia. Let's go to Hawaii. Now we can do that 3 weeks earlier. It's winter now here, right? But in Australia, my understanding is it's summer. So let's head over down under Australia, New Zealand. Let's get in there the height of summer now that we can. We don't have to worry about the Super Bowl. And you tell Baker, don't even worry about watching. I know it's going to hurt you so much to watch these playoffs. You
too
barely
painful.
Exactly. You can't watch next. You can't watch the Panthers next week, Baker. That's going to hurt you. Let's go on vacation right now. They're winners. I think the Bucs are winners here.
They're winners. Baker Mayfield's a winner. Mrs. Mayfield's a winner. You nailed it. I mean, it's so easy to spin. Add it to the Google Calendar. You probably already have that. When you mentioned Maldives, I'm like, that sounds so much better than getting planted into the ground by Jared Verse. You know?
The best thing about Baker Mayfield too and Mrs. Mayfield is that all of these like dream vacations that we have, like seeing like, oh my God, one of those over the water bungalows that I see in movies. Like I would love to do that. Oh, I wish I could do that for my honeymoon, whatever. When you get paid $30 million a year, you can do that one day to the next if you want to. So the Mayfields are going to be perfectly fine. Don't worry about them, Sheil.
And don't forget about that commercial money either. So I'm with you. All right. So Panthers are a winner, but kind of a weak winner. Bucs are a winner, a legit winner, because you know what? You're going to have a great off season. There's a lot of shows. There's a lot of movies. There's a lot of vacations. And now you got nothing but time. And to Billy's point, you just do the spin. You don't want to be watching this. You can't be watching these. It'll be too painful. Let's go. Let's get out of here. So
watch Gilmore Girls or something,
Gilmore Girls. Yeah, why not? All right. Let's take a break. We come back. We get to some more winners and losers. The Ringer NFL show is brought to you by FanDuel. Football fans, we've waited all season for this. It's time to flip the switch to playoff mode on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, all FanDuel customers can get in on the action with a wild card reward for the NFL wild card round. Just pick your card and you can win up to a 100% profit boost. Head to FanDuel.com/RingerNFL for a chance to double your winnings for the NFL wild card round. Play your game with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL playoffs. 21 plus and present in select states, or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. Opt-in required. Rewards are non-withdrawable. Restrictions apply, including bonus and token expiration, leg requirements, and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. All right, we are back here on the Ringer NFL show. Now, Billy, I think you had a winner for us. I believe. Do you have a winner for us? I don't know if it had to do with Myles Garrett or what it was, but what do you got?
All right, a winner that I had, Sheil, history. We witnessed history today. We've been talking about it. We've been hoping to witness history for a couple weeks now. And no, I'm not talking about, the Trey McBride that we were talking about last week. To be perfectly honest, I didn't even check to see what Trey McBride did today. I forgot that we were witnessing history with him. But Myles Garrett got the sack record. We've been wanting the sack record for Myles Garrett for weeks now. Last week, there was the controversy where they alleged that Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers were going out of their way just to prevent him from getting the sack record. And I think with that history, there might be a little bit of controversy down the road.
I was going to ask you about this. Okay. All right. There was the whole extra game situation, right? Which, by the way, TJ Watt, I believe, also did it in the 17th game of the season. So, that's not the controversy. Joe Burrow may have pulled a Brett Favre on that play a little bit. I don't know. He took a dive there. He kind of didn't want to get hit. He just went down. I don't know how you experienced that, but I saw that. And I was like, I don't know about that one, Joe. We haven't talked about this. I had this written down. I wanted to get your take on this, okay? Because I watch it and, Myles Garrett's turning the corner and there's all these stats. This was his fastest get off of the season. Just how quickly he got past the line of scrimmage. Now, Burrow's feeling the pressure from his left, but I've watched Joe Burrow play a lot of football and he doesn't just give up on plays from he's trying to run around and sometimes it gets him into trouble. He steps up, he goes down, Myles Garrett touches him. It's as pain-free of a sack as anyone's ever had from Myles Garrett. And then I was trying to think, Billy, well, why would Joe Burrow do this? Because you took us down the great path in previous episodes about Mark Gastineau and Brett Favre, and this can get a little, but I thought, well, Joe Burrow does have to face Myles Garrett twice a year. And there's a chance, Burrow's had injuries. And there's a chance in the future, Myles Garrett's going to be in position to inflict serious pain on Joe Burrow. And maybe Joe Burrow is playing chess here and saying, you know what? Now when he sees my face, he's going to have that warm, fuzzy feeling about breaking the sack record. And he might, he'll still sack me, but he's not going to really try to plant me into the... I don't know. What did you think? Because I'm with you. Again, we hadn't talked about this previously, but I had a feeling that was going to be... You were going to go down this road with it.
So you think maybe he was currying some favor with Myles Garrett? This is
why else would he do
long play. I don't know. I mean, maybe he didn't want to get hit on his last game because he too is going to have now like a nice long offseason, which he should be used to long off seasons. But he's going to have a nice long offseason, injury free. But it was a soft suck, if we're going to be honest with you. A little bit of a dive. And I wonder, because we remember we talked about Mark Gastineau. He went up to Brett Favre. Is Gastineau now relieved that someone beat Michael Strahan and TJ Watt and now has a sack record? Or is he also like throwing his hands up and he's like, what is this? Someone else took a dive. A sack used to mean something. You used to have to hit the quarterback. What is going on? This is not the sport that I used to love. Like, what is Gastineau had to blown a gasket today, I would imagine, when he saw how that record was broken.
Joe Burrow, if you have any card signings this offseason,
watch your back, man.
Out. Well, I think it's going to be the latter, as you were describing it. I don't think Gastineau's...
This used to mean something. A sack used to be hard. They're just giving it away now.
Now I'm like, Gastineau's still around, right?
Yeah.
I hope.
Or I don't hope for his sake, because if he saw this, I'm sure he would have been out. I hope he was busy today, Mark Gastineau.
Oh I never knew Gastineau was going to bring us.
But that wasn't the history. That wasn't the history.
That wasn't it.
Okay, that wasn't the history. The Jets did it. They completed the season without an interception. I don't know how they did it, but they did it, Sheil.
I can't stop laughing, Billy, because if you would have told me in week 18, producer Chris was going to send a message that just reads, Gastineau is alive.
Yes.
I would have been like,
goodness.
What were we possibly talking about there? Okay. So yeah, the Jets thing is just so wild that they completed an entire season. And, I was watching the NBC pregame show before Steelers Ravens, and it's like all about the playoff teams, and here's the matchup, and then for no reason they just put up these numbers, and they're like, what are those numbers? And they're like, that's what quarterbacks have done against the Jets this year. 36 touchdowns and no interceptions against the Jets this year, Billy.
I saw that they tried to do a sneaky thing where guess the quarterback's resume. And we talked about it last week, even by accident, you should have one interception. And there were some balls that were batted up there that just went right past Jets. They had chances today if they really wanted them, but c'est la vie.
Maybe they didn't want it. Maybe they were feeling good about it. All right, I'm looking at my list here to see who else is a winner and who else is a loser here. Some other winners I have written down here. Billy, let's see. The Seahawks, obviously a winner, right? Yeah. Great game Saturday night. They're going to be the 1 seed here. I'm sure we'll talk a lot about the Seahawks in the weeks ahead. Broncos, obviously a winner. They're the 1 seed in the AFC. You mentioned the Rams. I think the Rams are a winner here. Did you have an honorable mention? You said?
I do have an honorable mention.
Who do you got?
So I have an honorable mention for potential winners and losers. Tom Brady. Now, why Tom Brady, you asked? Sheil, I don't know if you've seen what's going on with Tom Brady this past week. Have you been following Tom Brady's comings and goings?
Morsels have come across my algorithm, I will say.
Okay, so Tom Brady is one of these people that it can't really do anything without everybody talking about what he's doing. So I will take you to Wednesday night / Thursday morning, New Year's Eve, Tom Brady. Now, Tom Brady, we saw today, he was calling the Lions game and he was calling the Bears game, right? Tom Brady was in St. Bart's for New Year's Eve because that's what you do when you're Tom Brady, you go to St. Bart's. And I don't know if you saw this, his ex-wife, Giselle, recently I believe, had a child. So this is a time where you're thinking, oh my God, this is the one that got away. My longtime wife has now moved on. I believe also could be engaged in the situation, but has clearly moved on for Tom Brady. And that was a big thing. His last season had the divorce. Are they going to get divorced? They're not going to divorce. A time where I'm assuming it was very emotional, even devastating. But no, Tom was in St. Bart's like all of the millionaires and billionaires were, and he was spotted with a new love interest. None other than Alex Earl. Are you familiar with Alex Earl, Sheil?
All I know is social media influencer. But if you wanted to press me on Sheil, what does that actually mean? I don't think I could tell you.
So Alex Earl is a famous person who's now been famous for some time for being famous. Now, she started as an influencer where she would be on TikTok and she would make like makeup videos, and it was like a relatable thing because it happened like during COVID, and she would show her real skin, like acne and all this stuff. I was like, wow, this is like an every person. Look at Alex Earl. And then she became like a famous person, and she went and she started dating Braxton Berrios, and her and Braxton Berrios were set to become like the NFL it couple of the season. The only problem is they got together the same season as Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. So everyone kind of was not paying as much attention to
timing.
Alex. Yeah, it was bad time. Listen, there's no perfect time to find love, but that's when they found love. And unfortunately, they were overshadowed. Now, since then, she has been on Dancing with the Stars, where I don't know if you watched Dancing with the Stars this past season or if you're trying to catch up at some point. Maybe the Mayfields are listening and they're going to kind of binge the final season of Dancing with the Stars that just occurred. If you are Mayfields, tune out for a second. Spoiler alert. She finished second place this season. Yeah, so she was on Dancing with the Stars. She's kind of crossed into the mainstream. She broke up with Braxton Berrios not too long ago. That came out. And she was seen with Tom Brady. So now there's these romance rumors. Oh, Tom Brady, Alex Earl. Also, fun fact about Alex Earl. Do you know who Alex Earl's stepmother is?
I do not.
Alex Earl's stepmother is Ashley Dupree. Do you know who that is?
I do not.
Ashley Dupree was the escort that was involved in the Elliot Spitzer scandal that led to him resigning as governor. That's nothing. That's just a fun fact.
I'm glad I said I do not. That would have been a bad one to know.
Yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with the story whatsoever, but it's just a fun fact. Anyways, so that's what Tom Brady was up to New Year's Eve. So he was there. Now he may have this new love interest. Fast forward 2 days, he's in Miami for a hockey game that's indoors at Marlins Park, Lone Depot Park, between the Panthers and the Rangers. So he's there. He's being presented a Panthers jersey because it's the Marlins stadium. He's being presented a Marlins jersey. It's like, wow, this Tom Brady is just everywhere doing everything. And lo and behold, then he's doing his real job that he's getting paid $30+ million a year for, to do the Lions and the Bears game. I don't know where he gets this energy from. I mean, you're just jet setting everywhere. You're in 3 different cities within 6 days of each other. You know, he's already out of Chicago. Who knows where he's off to now? Like, the guy doesn't stop. And by the way, honorable mention is Kevin Burkhardt, because Tom Brady, when he was seen with Alex Earl, was at a Calvin Harris concert at St. Bart's, and they were playing like a Calvin Harris song going into a commercial break, and then Kevin Burkhardt, it's a situation where it's like, oh, is anyone going to address this? Kevin Burkhardt said to Tom on the way out of the commercial, goes, oh, I've heard Calvin Harris is really good live. Tom Brady says, what do you know about that? And then that was kind of like a very little jab there by Burkhardt on the way out. But honorable mention for winner, Tom Brady. What a week he's had, just going all around the world doing all these wonderful things that we all wish we could do.
I mean, that sounds exhausting. So he is.
It really does. Honestly,
I was just doing some Googling here. So that's what about a 3-hour-ish flight if you're flying private, Miami to St. Bart's, and then it's what 3-ish hours from Miami to Chicago. And then he's got to go back, somewhere. So we're talking about 4 flights in a matter of days here, like half a week. You're talking about different beds you're sleeping in. St. Bart's one, Miami another, Chicago another, different pillow situations and all those. The ear popping, I would imagine, even though you're flying private on the jets, they can't do anything about that, right? With the ears popping in and out. So that to me, turbulence, I'm sure, like, again, I'm sure it's nice to fly private. I wouldn't know, but
I don't know.
Turbulence. So, that does sound exhausting. Like, he's 48 years old. Yeah. Obviously, I'm sure he had an enjoyable time, but that's a lot of travel, a lot of work for 1 week. He's ringing in 2026 like nobody's business.
Honestly, like at this point, and I don't know how you feel, at this point, even staying up like well past midnight on New Year's Eve, not for me. I have 2 young kids. We did like the fake New Year's Eve at like 8 o'clock at night. and like barely made it to 12. Like we made it to 12 only because we were cleaning up the mess that the kids made during the day. But if not, I could have easily fallen asleep in 2025 and waken up in 2026 and be perfectly content. I don't need to be out dancing. What am I dancing for at this point?
You don't need to be, but I'm glad you brought up Tom Brady for the honorable mention. Maybe he had some kind of resolution. He wants to be outside more. He probably told Burkhardt, hey, you can mention this. You know what I'm saying? Like, this looks good for me, that I'm out and about. I'm doing things in 2026. His resolution is much more than get your steps in and mind your business, which is, the Kapadia's resolution here for 2026. Sorry.
You know what I did, Sheil? I went up and I started looking up some contract bonuses because that's what is going on this week of the season, where you see, like, speaking of Tom Brady, you see the videos of Gronk saying, hey, Tommy, I need one more for $1 million. And then he goes and he throws him a pass. So I started seeing if there was any interesting winners and losers for the bonuses this year. I had some interesting ones that I found. Rico Dowdle, he could potentially get $1 million, and all he needed was 7 yards to get the $1 million bonus. Rico Dowdle had a horrible game. He got 10 yards, though, so he gets his $1 million bonus. A horrible performance, but he got the 7 yards he needed. He's a winner. Another winner, Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen needed 6 receptions for a $750,000 bonus. And then he had another $250,000 bonus that was up for grabs if he got 750 receiving yards on the season. Of the 6 receiving yards that he needed, Keenan Allen got 7 receiving yards. And he surpasses 750 yards that he needed. $1 million for Keenan Allen today. Yeah, what a day for him. Calais Campbell, he needed 1 sack for $500,000. He did not get it. He's a loser, unfortunately.
If only he were playing the Bengals. Joe Burrow would have given it to him.
That's true. If only he were playing Burrow,
All right, well, Gastineau right now, somewhere is saying, Calais Campbell, that's a real man.
He's saying, you know what? And I wonder, and we're not going to look it up, and Chris, don't look it up because it's going to be too much work, but I wonder how many years of playing Gastineau had to play for $500,000, because it was a different time in the NFL.
Different time.
Yeah, so he's probably seeing these $500,000, and he's getting out where he's like, Mark, please just sit down, man, relax. It's okay. It'll be fine. Anyway.
What a fun character, Gastineau. 2 Hour Lives. You
talk
brought
to
into
him.
my life.
Let's reach out to him. What's he up to?
I don't know about that. Yeah, I wasn't going that far, Billy. I just said nice new character here for the Ringer NFL show that Billy brought into our lives. So there you go. So we got the playoff schedule. Saturday, 4:30. This is Eastern. Rams at Panthers. Saturday night, Packers at Bears. That's going to be a fun one. Sunday at 1. Billy mentioned it. Bills at Jaguars. Very confusing game. I can't wait to talk more about that one. Sunday at 4:30. 49ers at Eagles. Good one. Sunday at 8 p.m. Chargers at Patriots. And then Monday night, Texans at Steelers. I think it's a good wild card round slate. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, I mean, I think the NFC is primed for some upsets. You know, the Rams, when we were saying winners and losers for the Rams, while being the 5 seed, they're not going to be the only upset. I have the Rams winning. No surprise. I don't think. Okay. I don't think that you think the Panthers are going to win either, right?
Not now, but you know what?
You never know.
Crazy things
guess.
happen. Yeah, it's one game. Yeah,
but should the Rams win, as we think that they're probably going to win, right?
Yeah.
They're probably still not going to be the lowest seed, so they're not going to have to face the Seahawks, because one of those other 2 games probably will have an upset as well, because the NFC is pretty tight, I would say. I think anyone can beat anyone except the Panthers. I think anyone else can beat anyone else in the NFC.
Yeah, Eagles, I think, are 3.5. That line's 3.5. Packers, Bears, I think the line is 1.5. So good matchups that we will be talking about all week on the Ringer NFL show. All right, thank you to Billy Gil. Thank you to Mark Gastineau. Thank you to Christopher Sutton for producing. Alicia Suji on social. Stefano Sanchez on video editing, and additional production supervision by Conor Nevins and Arjuna Ramgopowell. I'm Sheil Kapadia. We will be back tomorrow on the Ringer NFL show. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino. Or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.